The Yes You Can trend has got the teens and even the tweens posting provocative and edgy content set to the absolute worst song I think I've ever heard in my entire life. And I lived through What Does the Fox Say? Each and every one of you owe me financial compensation for the abuse that my ears have gone through in order to bring you this video. I won't play it for you here, and for that, I would like my well-earned applause and gratitude, please. Yet somehow, miraculously, some of what this sound is being used for is even worse than the song itself. How is that even possible?
This Yes You Can trend isn't just cringe, it's dangerous. Teen girls are posting videos saying things like, can you sneak out at 2 a.m. to meet a guy twice your age? Can you send pictures with no clothes on to a boy you barely know? Can you get in his car though your gut says no? Yes, yes you can.
The Yes You Can trend involves using this heinous sound to take anything. No, yeah, anything.
Yes you can, meow. Yes you can, meow.
Literally anything.
Meow. Yes you can, meow. Yes you can, meow. Yes you can, meow.
And tell each other yes. Yes, you can. The most concerning being the one where these kids are showing off their bodies, saying things like, yes, you can. F with me.
Yes you can, meow. Yes you can, meow. Yes you can, meow. Yes you can.
Even more common than that, though, are the adults that are using this sound to tell the kiddos to get off they damn phones.
Meow. Yes you can, 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 meow.
Now, from what I can gather, some of these kids are posting the number 20 and then their age, which would make this one 13 years old, while some are just posting their actual birth year, which in this case would make her 12. I'm not going to show her face just in case because either way, yikes, that's a child. But I want to go on the record and say that this person does not look 12 or 13 years old to me. She looks like she's at least 20. These kids have too many damn makeup tutorials and too much access to good makeup.
10-year-olds are ruining makeup stores. Lately, Sephora employees have been complaining on TikTok that every time they work a shift, the majority of customers are children under the age of 13 that have no manners.
Y'all want to be out here posting thirst traps and wearing makeup? Get a job! Back in my day, we walked uphill both ways in 4 feet of snow, and we were thankful to get a magazine with outrageous and completely unwearable makeup styles, to go to school looking like this.
Is my outfit too casual? Derek's taking me to Olive Garden tonight, so I need to dress like fancy.
Olive Garden? Does it come from money or something?
After being introduced to this subject by this woman's TikTok, I started searching and researching to see if this trend really is as bad as she claims it to be, or if this is just being sensationalized and blown out of proportion. I went looking for these videos of kids encouraging each other to do crime. I flopped onto my bed one morning with plans to research this and scrolled for about an hour, and when I looked up and saw that it was getting dark outside, I realized that if finding these alleged videos was this difficult, they were far more rare than she had claimed it to be. There isn't that much content of kids encouraging each other to sneak out or date adults, at least not to set to this specific trending sound. What I did see were tons of adults making videos about how these kids need to get off they screen and have a childhood. Well, except for this video. When I was your age, I was on my mom's iPad farming for diamonds in Royale High School and arguing with people over Adopt Me pets. Get off this app and go have a real childhood, please. There are adults that were iPad kids and consider that to be a normal childhood. There are adults that were iPad kids and are telling the next generation of teenagers to get off they damn lawns. There are adults that are telling kids to get off one screen and onto their childhood screens.
I imagine death so much it feels more like a memory. When's it gonna get me?
So basically we have one side filled with kids being edgy and somewhat unsafe online, and another side full of adults crashing out over it. Don't get me wrong, this trend has been used to do funny things.
Meow. Yes you can, 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 meow. Yes you.
But for the most part, it's being used by conventionally attractive people to do basically nothing and get thousands of views. Side tangent, but I think the way that content creators can get showered with likes for doing nothing at all, set to a trending sound, should be studied. Like, I get it with the conventionally attractive people doing it and mogging at the camera, but some of them are just people existing and getting tons of likes.
Meow. Yes, you can. Meow. Yes, you can. Meow. Yes, you can. Meow.
Is this the consequences of ChatGPT brain rot? What I did find were posts from teenagers encouraging people older than them to get involved with them. No matter what angle you come at it from, that's definitely cause for concern.
Meow. Yes, you can. Meow. Yes, you can. Meow. I sound like a cat. Yes, you can. Meow. Yes, you can. Meow. Yes, you can. Meow.
Contrary to the seemingly popular belief of the moms of TikTok, this isn't anything new. Most of us can tell you that trying to seduce older people as a teen and thinking you're super mature for your age is a tale as old as time. What's creepy as hell is how many women I saw that were basically hand-waving the issue because of that fact.
Meow. Yes, you can. Meow. Yes, you can. Meow.
Okay, so what's your point? You're not sitting here telling me that at your grown age, you don't think there's anything wrong with 13-year-olds thirst trapping, are you? Thirst trapping and engaging with predators online as a literal child isn't new. Trust me, I was doing the same thing before you were born. That doesn't mean we should be treating it as if it should be the norm, because it very shouldn't be. Now, to the grown, beautiful ladies of TikTok that were taking this rumor and running away with it, I do also feel like I need to remind you, this is just the kind of thing that kids do. It obviously isn't acceptable. And I don't think it's quite as serious as you're worried that it is in terms of what the kids are encouraging each other to do. At least to this sound, like I said, I know there's worse out there. Kids like to be edgy. They like to feel grown. They like to make this kind of content for attention. And even the ones actually encouraging dangerous behavior probably don't take it as seriously as you think that they do. We have to remember that their frontal lobes are not developed enough to perceive how dangerous this actually is. And while we lived through our own phase and survived our own dangers, our life experience and brain development allows us to see the forest for the trees in a way that these kids simply aren't capable of grasping yet. In a world where content creation and view count matters more to the everyday young person, the everyday young, underdeveloped, impressionable person, more than it ever has, there's even more incentive to do this kind of thing. I'm honestly really happily surprised I didn't find more of this kind of behavior than I did. As the sun rises and sets, as the world turns, kids will do risky things for attention and validation from people older than them. And they will brush off the opinions and warnings from the ones that give even the most well-meaning of advice. I'm fully aware that if any of these kids happened to watch my video, they'll do exactly what I did at their age, write me off as a hag past my prime, and assume that they know better, because the world isn't the same place that it was when I was their age. That is the never-ending story of humanity. Your most reasonable arguments, your most inviting and reasoning tones, your scolds, your threats, your mocking, your anecdotes, none of it will reach them. All of this to say, get your fucking kids off TikTok! By far, the worst thing I saw were posts like this, because their comments were flooded with the lowest scum of the earth. Yes, I can. Here I come. She is 14. Exactly. I'm down. She's on ASL. Beautiful. Sounds good to me. Older men know how to take care of business. Smooth as silk. I'm happy you like older men. I just wish you were in Panama City, Florida, so we could meet and go out to dinner and dancing. Divorced 40-year-old dad, yes, 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 absolutely. Nothing would stop me. Someone call the police. I don't care how boomer I sound, this is how it is. The kids may not all be using this TikTok sound to play dangerous games, but I assure you, they are playing dangerous games and encouraging each other to do so. We really don't need to be missing the mark by overhyping something as being worse than it is. What we need to be doing is monitoring our kids' online activity, or keep them off as much as possible. It really does all boil down to the best parenting choices possible, which includes limiting your child's social media access, because they will find a way to access it. I don't think chucking the phone is the solution, and I also don't think being naive enough to try to completely isolate your teenager from social media is going to solve anything either. For the love of God, do everything you can to monitor whether they're attracting freaks like this. Also, I think we should start normalizing showing the faces of these freaks anytime we see their goon brain behavior. This isn't something we should tolerate. I don't care if all you needed was some post-nut clarity to realize you were being a on Maine. You don't get second chances. Anyway, that was my very short little video on the Yes You Can trend. Thank you for watching. Please consider the like button to be a middle finger to the pet and the pet sympathizers. And subscribe to see more from me. I make social commentary videos and movie reviews. Thanks again for watching. Bye!